Hey everybody, it's Josh of Walnut Ridge. Today we had a good example to talk about this refrigerator, and actually just refrigerators in general in RVs. But since this one was pulled out of the unit, we had a chance for you to kind of see what the back end of this refrigerator looks like. And so I wanted to just briefly describe how this operates, and then I'll give you a couple tips on how that can help you with your camping experience. So you can see this kind of mess of steel tubes and coils and all this stuff that's going on here. But the basics of the refrigerator, down here, this chamber here is going to be filled with ammonia. And so this ammonia is going to run down in here. You get over to here and you have electric elements, and this is also where the gas will burn at the bottom if you're running on LP instead of electric. And what it does is it heats this ammonia in this tube. And as this ammonia goes up, which this is the exhaust for your heat coming out, but as this ammonia goes up, it's turned to gas. So they boiled it, it's turned to gas vapor, and it's going all the way up to the top of this. When it gets up here, these coils that are up here, and this tube running through, are actually attached to some stuff inside. And so as that ammonia passes through, it's drawing the heat out of the box. So the warmer air is attracted to these coils with this solution running through as a gas, and as it goes through here, it starts to condensate, and it's working its way down the fridge, down to your bottom set of coils. It comes back out of the fridge, and at this point it's turned back into a liquid, and it's running down these tubes all the way down, turning into a liquid, condensing more and more from the gas state until it gets all the way back down to the chamber where it's liquid ammonia again, and that draws the heat out of the box. So the major part of it starts in the freezer, works its way down to the fridge, draws less heat out of the bottom part of the fridge, which you normally don't have at the same temperature as the freezer. It's usually running in the mid 30s, somewhere around there. The freezer is usually getting down somewhere around 0 degrees to 5 degrees, sometimes in the negatives actually. But the reason I want to show you that is because what it has to do is now, once it gets out here, it has to take that heat away from the outside of this so that it can continue the cycle. So they add fans on here to kind of help escape that heat out. And then there's some ventilation, that specific ventilation requirements that has to be in the box. And then you have a roof vent on top, or sometimes a secondary outside vent for that heat to come out. This process takes a while. It's not like a compressor style where it's a pretty quick recovery. It takes a while just to draw heat out, and it has to run and run and run. And these things don't really have necessarily a thermostat to set a temperature. It just has something, it's called a thermistor, and it basically just tells it to be on or off. And that's the only two kind of functions that the fridge has. It's either on and boiling this ammonia, or it's not. And so what happens, since that takes so long, sometimes you might notice the first time you turn it on, it takes maybe even up to 6 hours for it to get down to temperature. But then when you're out camping, you got to think about kind of the position you're in the campground. If you're out in the open and you have a lot of direct sunlight during the day, what's harder for that heat to get pulled out of here, because that sunlight and the heat of the day is going to contribute to keeping this warm. So that's why it might take longer to get down to temperature. Every time you open the door, you allow a lot more heat from the outside to come into the fridge. You close that in, well, then this thing has to draw that heat back out again. So it takes a long time to recover. So just some tips to think about when you need to get in your fridge, especially during the day when it's hot. You know, make sure you have a plan on what you need to get out of there. Try and get the door open, get the stuff you need out, and get the door closed. The more heat that you let into there, the longer it's going to take for that to recover. And then again, if you're in direct sunlight and you're having issues, if you can somehow shade this side a little bit, that'll help with, if you can't move campsites, just shading it might help with the recovery time and the time it takes to maintain that temperature. And that's going to help your experience, or help have you have a better experience when you're camping, by not having to worry about if your fridge is going to keep your food cold or not, or your drinks cold. So just some small tips about it. But it was a good opportunity to show you how this thing works, so you can kind of understand why it takes so long. But hopefully that'll help you the next time you're out camping. Thanks.